It's interesting. You clicked on a video that said there's nothing to see here, while millions of people scroll past, hunting for flashy thumbnails and clickbait promises. You stopped. You got curious. You asked yourself, what's behind this? That split-second decision you just made? That curiosity that pulled you here? That's exactly what separates the wealthy from everyone else. And if you're already demonstrating it, you're going to want to hear what I'm about to tell you. Most people think curiosity is a nice personality trait, something adorable in children, a pleasant quality that makes conversation interesting. They're catastrophically wrong. Curiosity isn't cute, it's a weapon, and the wealthy have turned it into the most potent financial advantage you can possess. While everyone else accepts the world exactly as it appears, the rich interrogate reality relentlessly. They ask questions that uncover patterns invisible to ordinary minds. They spot opportunities hiding in plain sight. They connect dots that create billion-dollar businesses, while others are still trying to figure out what the dots even are. Here's what nobody tells you. The ability to ask strategic questions isn't something you're born with. It's not reserved for geniuses with 160 IQ scores. It's a learnable skill. A systematic approach to thinking that separates those who spot trillion-dollar trends 5 years early from those who react when the game is already over. And the gap between these two groups, it's widening every single day. This is Premium Wealth Insights. I'm William Vanderbilt. And today we're going deep into the curiosity edge, the psychological framework the ultra-wealthy use to transform questions into capital. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading, why Elon Musk can dominate 5 different industries simultaneously, and most importantly, how you can build the same advantage starting right now. But before we go further, let me tell you something critical. This channel is brand new. We're on a mission to reach 100 subscribers, and I need your help to make that happen. If what I'm about to share resonates with you, if you're serious about understanding how wealth actually works, hit that subscribe button right now. We're also aiming for 50 likes on this video. That's not much to ask when I'm giving you strategies that took decades for the wealthy to perfect. And here's one more thing. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know where in the world this message is reaching. Are you in New York, London, Singapore, Mumbai? Let me know, because this information transcends borders. Wealth psychology works the same whether you're in Manhattan or Manila. Now let's get into it. Research from the Rich Habits Studies, which analyzed 233 self-made millionaires over 5 years, reveals something stunning. 94% of self-made millionaires read for self-improvement at least 30 minutes every single day. Compare that to just 2% of people struggling financially. 2%. That's not a gap, that's a chasm. But here's what most people miss. This isn't casual reading. It's not scrolling social media or skimming headlines. It's deliberate knowledge acquisition driven by one thing: relentless curiosity. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Financial reports, business analyses, industry data. He's not doing this for entertainment. He's doing it for pattern recognition, for opportunity spotting, for building a mental database so sophisticated that he can evaluate a company's fundamental value in minutes, while analysts with fancy degrees spend weeks getting it wrong. But reading alone doesn't create wealth. If it did, every librarian would be a billionaire. What separates the wealthy from everyone else is what they do with their curiosity, how they weaponize it. Let me show you exactly how this works. Curiosity drives innovation. The same Rich Habits research found that 76% of millionaires pursued novel ideas or ventures, compared to only 9% of those experiencing financial difficulty. This isn't recklessness. This isn't throwing money at random schemes. It's calculated exploration driven by one question: why not? While everyone else accepts the status quo, the wealthy challenge it. Elon Musk looked at the aerospace industry and noticed something strange. Everyone accepted that rockets were inherently expensive, single-use, disposable, billions of dollars launching into space and burning up on re-entry. Industry experts with decades of experience said this was just how it worked. The physics demanded it. The economics proved it. But Musk asked a different question. Why can't we reuse rockets the way we reuse airplanes? That single question reframed an entire industry. It led to SpaceX's reusable Falcon 9 rockets. It slashed launch costs by billions. And it created a private space empire that's now worth over $100 billion. One question, asked differently than everyone else was asking it. Curiosity builds networks. 68% of millionaires network 5 hours or more monthly. Compare that to 11% of struggling individuals. But here's the critical distinction. Wealthy people don't network for superficial connections. They're not collecting business cards or adding contacts on LinkedIn. They're curious about what other people know. They attend conferences to learn. They engage mentors to extract wisdom. They ask questions that spark insights rather than waste time with small talk. Research on executive networking shows that wealth-building networks aren't transactional. They're not about what you can get right now. They're built on deep relationships with people who possess knowledge you don't have. These networks become private information markets where insights flow in both directions, where opportunities get shared before they ever reach the broader public, before they show up in news articles, before everyone else even knows they exist. And here's the multiplier effect. Curiosity feeds pattern recognition. Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, George Soros. These investors developed an almost supernatural ability to see market patterns before they fully form. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. These builders possessed remarkable pattern recognition that allowed them to dominate industries for decades. But pattern recognition isn't magic. It's not a gift from the universe. It's the result of asking the right questions repeatedly. By staying curious about how markets work, how consumer behavior shifts, how technologies intersect, these individuals notice trends that others dismiss as random noise. They see the signal, while everyone else is drowning in static. Let me tell you a story. Sara Blakely founded Spanex with $5,000 and an idea. No fashion background, no manufacturing experience, just curiosity. When she visited manufacturers trying to get her product made, she watched them sewing elasticated waistbands using a method that had been done the same way for decades. She asked a simple question. Why are you doing it this way? The answer? That's how we've always done it. She asked why again. They didn't have an answer. By questioning assumed best practices that competitors never even thought to challenge, Blakely discovered inefficiencies that turned into competitive advantages. Today, Spanex is worth over $1 billion. One question, asked persistently, created a fortune. This is what I call the 5 whys rule. It's the simplest yet most powerful tool wealthy people use. The technique evolved from Toyota's production system, but became a universal tool for uncovering hidden opportunities. The method is deceptively simple. For every assumption, ask why 5 times until you reach the core insight. Most people stop at the surface answer. The wealthy dig deeper. Here's how it works in practice. Start with a problem or opportunity. Ask why. The answer reveals the next layer. Ask why again. Keep going. By the 5th question, you've moved past surface-level symptoms to fundamental truth. This technique forces you to bypass conventional wisdom and reach root cause thinking. Steve Jobs used a related but even deeper approach called first principles questioning. Rather than accepting that computers had to be complicated, Jobs asked a different question. What if we designed for how people want to interact with technology first, then figured out how to build it technically? Most engineers design technology first, then force users to adapt. Jobs inverted this completely, and that inversion led to products people loved rather than products people merely tolerated. The Macintosh, the iPod, the iPhone, each one redefined entire categories because Jobs refused to accept inherited assumptions. If you're already seeing the pattern here, if this is clicking for you, do me a favor, hit that like button. Help us get to 50 likes on this video. It tells me you're getting value, and it helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. Now here's where most people go wrong with curiosity. They explore randomly. They fall down rabbit holes. They accumulate trivia but never convert it into advantage. The wealthy don't do this. They practice what I call curiosity targeting. They pick one industry, one trend, one emerging skill every week and dive deep for 30 minutes or more. This creates compounding knowledge over time. Bill Gates attributes his extraordinary success to what he calls an insatiable, fervent sense of curiosity. As a child, he attempted to read his family's entire World Book Encyclopedia collection, cover to cover. As an adult, Gates continues this practice. He dedicates extensive hours to exploring diverse subjects ranging from computer science to climate change to global health. This multidisciplinary curiosity later inspired the philanthropic initiatives that now occupy much of his attention. But here's the insight most people miss. Gates' approach demonstrates something crucial. Curiosity in one domain creates unexpected connections in another. His background in computer science, combined with his curiosity about global health challenges, allowed him to identify emerging problems before they captured widespread attention. When starting Microsoft, he foresaw the software revolution. In his philanthropy, he positioned himself ahead of crises in global health. Today, he advises that if he were starting fresh, he would focus on artificial intelligence, energy, and biosciences, areas he's watched with sustained curiosity for years, not months, years. This targeted curiosity works because it creates information asymmetry. By the time a trend hits mainstream headlines, the person who's been curious about it for months or years has already mapped its implications. They've identified who benefits. They've spotted opportunities. They're positioned advantageously while everyone else is just waking up to the possibility. Let me break down exactly how to convert curiosity into capital. This is the opportunity mapping framework. When something captures your interest, you need to map it systematically using 3 questions. First, what's changing? Identify the shifts. Is an industry consolidating or fragmenting? Are regulations loosening or tightening? Is technology replacing human work in this area? Elon Musk's early curiosity about electric vehicles combined with recognition that battery technology was improving exponentially. Most people in the auto industry dismissed this. They said electric cars were impractical. The technology wasn't ready. Consumers didn't want them. Musk saw the change they couldn't see. That recognition became Tesla, a company now worth more than the next 10 automakers combined. Second, who benefits? This is critical. Change always creates winners and losers. By understanding who benefits from a shift, you can position yourself with the winners, or you can become one. When Amazon's AWS team noticed that companies struggled to build their own data infrastructure, they identified a massive opportunity. By asking who benefits from centralized cloud computing, they created one of the most profitable business segments in history. AWS now generates over $90 billion in annual revenue. That's more than many Fortune 500 companies make in total. Third, where is the opportunity? This is where most people stop thinking. They identify a trend, they understand who benefits, then they do nothing. Wealthy people go further. They ask specific questions. What's the investment opportunity? What's the partnership opportunity? What skill should I develop? What information network do I need? Jeff Bezos' Day One thinking exemplifies this. His framework treats every day as day one of a new company, constantly questioning assumptions to find overlooked opportunities. This mindset, where you deliberately challenge what you think you know, is how Bezos discovered bets like AWS that others missed entirely. Now I want to pause here and ask you something. What's your biggest challenge right now when it comes to building wealth? Is it finding opportunities? Is it overcoming analysis paralysis? Is it knowing where to focus your curiosity? Drop a comment below and tell me. I read every single one. And your answer might become the topic of a future deep dive. Because this channel isn't just about me talking at you. It's about building a community of people who think differently about wealth. Let's talk about building a curiosity network. Because here's a fundamental principle. You can't know everything, but you can know people who know things you don't. Wealthy people deliberately build networks of experts, contrarians, and specialists who see different angles on the world. Warren Buffett's relationship with Charlie Munger is the perfect example. Munger brings different expertise and perspective. He challenges Buffett's assumptions. He asks questions Buffett might not have asked alone. When they evaluate an investment, they're not just applying one lens. They're combining multidisciplinary thinking. Buffett's famous question, "Then what?" asking what happens after an action to force longer-term thinking, likely evolved from decades of intellectual sparring with Munger. Two brilliant minds made more brilliant by curiosity about what the other sees. Mark Benioff, founder of Salesforce, took an entire year's sabbatical specifically to travel and ask questions. He questioned thousands of people, business leaders and non-leaders, rich and poor, for profit and non-profit. By positioning himself as a curious learner rather than an expert, Benioff absorbed diverse perspectives, and while swimming in the Pacific Ocean, an idea crystallized. What if we sold enterprise software the way Amazon sells books? That question, born from curiosity combined with diverse inputs, launched an entire industry. Salesforce is now worth over $200 billion. Bill Gates's parents deliberately nurtured his curiosity by surrounding him with interesting people. They hosted dinner gatherings with local politicians, lawyers, and diverse guests. Then they encouraged young Bill to engage these people, to question them intensely. This curated network became his education beyond formal schooling. Gates' willingness to quiz visitors and ask follow-up questions, rather than sitting silently, trained his mind for the kind of information extraction that later defined his business approach. This principle remains true today. Wealthy individuals don't just attend events passively. They join executive roundtables. They participate in mastermind groups. They deliberately position themselves in rooms with people who think differently. Then they ask these people serious questions. They listen actively. They synthesize insights. Research on networking confirms this. Quality beats quantity every single time. Deep relationships with informed people generate far more opportunity than thousands of surface-level connections. Let me give you some real-world case studies that illustrate exactly how curiosity created billions. Elon Musk's multi-industry curiosity is almost unprecedented in modern business. Musk didn't start as a space engineer, neuroscientist, or tunnel expert. He started as someone with relentless curiosity across multiple domains. When moving into SpaceX, Musk didn't simply hire engineers and delegate. He immersed himself in aerospace engineering. He asked fundamental questions about why rockets were designed the way they were. His first principles approach, questioning every assumption instead of accepting industry wisdom, led to breakthroughs like rocket reusability that experts said was impossible. At Neuralink, Musk pursued brain-computer interfaces by diving deep into neuroscience, staying informed about the latest research while actively participating in research and development. The Boring Company emerged from Musk's frustration with traffic, a problem most people accept as inevitable. Musk instead asked why. Then he dove into learning about tunneling technology, geology, and urban planning. Each venture demonstrates the same pattern: intense curiosity in a new domain, hands-on engagement, refusal to accept conventional wisdom as unchangeable. Steve Jobs' design curiosity extended far beyond technology. He explored art, design, calligraphy, philosophy. This multidisciplinary approach created connections others missed. In 1979, when visiting Xerox PARC, Jobs saw their graphical user interface, technology that Xerox had developed but didn't fully appreciate. Jobs asked the question others didn't. What if this became the foundation of the next generation of personal computers? He envisioned what Xerox couldn't see. That vision led to the Apple Macintosh, which introduced graphical user interfaces to millions of people. Jobs made Think Different his company's motto, because he believed deeply in questioning the status quo. When Microsoft's Steve Ballmer dismissed the iPhone, saying it had no chance of getting significant market share, Jobs had already been curious about where consumer technology was heading for years. He combined interests in minimalism, physics, and psychology. His questions led to products that didn't just compete in existing categories, they redefined them completely. Sara Blakely's outsider advantage is particularly instructive. She founded Spanx without formal training in fashion or manufacturing. What seemed like a disadvantage became her superpower. Unconstrained by industry convention, she asked questions that insiders had stopped asking. Why can't we make a bra out of hosiery? Why does it have to be done this way? Her outsider status meant she didn't accept "that's how we've always done it" as a valid answer. Factory after factory rejected her ideas initially, but her refusal to accept conventional limitations born from curiosity rather than expertise, eventually produced billion-dollar innovations. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett's learning networks deserve special attention. Gates credits his success to intense curiosity spanning computer science, history, economics, and ultimately global health. During his tenure at Harvard, Gates didn't limit himself to his field of study. He took courses in criminal justice and British history because his curiosity drove him to explore broadly. This multidisciplinary education later informed both his business decisions at Microsoft and his philanthropic priorities. Warren Buffett turned curiosity into a financial discipline. His famous two-hard bucket strategy involves asking which investments he genuinely understands. A question that requires deep curiosity about business fundamentals. His 9-question framework for identifying great companies represents systematized curiosity. Does the business have a consumer monopoly? Why? Can earnings be reinvested for growth? Why should I believe this company can maintain its advantages? By asking these questions repeatedly across thousands of companies over decades, Buffett developed pattern recognition that became extraordinary wealth. Now here's where curiosity transitions from habit to financial advantage. Curiosity creates information asymmetry. If you know something 80% of the market hasn't yet recognized, you can position yourself advantageously. You can invest early. You can build skills before they're valued. You can form partnerships before others see the opportunity. Naval Ravikant, investor and philosopher, articulated this clearly. The most important skill for getting rich is becoming a perpetual learner. You have to know how to learn anything you want to learn. He further stated that wealth creation operates on specific knowledge. Unique insights you've developed through curiosity and exploration that others don't possess. This specific knowledge, combined with accountability, where your actions directly connect to rewards, becomes your capital. This principle explains why early-stage investors who maintained curiosity about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and cloud computing decades ago created generational wealth. They asked questions early. They stayed curious while others dismissed these fields as speculative or impossible. By the time these sectors matured, they'd already accumulated vast positions and deep networks within these ecosystems. They weren't reacting to trends, they were positioned ahead of them. If you're still with me, if this is making sense, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Because what I'm giving you here isn't theory, it's the actual framework the wealthy use to stay wealthy and get wealthier. And I'm going to keep breaking down these psychological advantages every single week. Don't miss what's coming next. Let me give you an actionable framework for building your curiosity edge starting immediately. 5 specific practices you can implement today. First, adopt systematic questioning practice. Set aside 30 minutes weekly to select one topic, trend, or industry unfamiliar to you. Read about it. Research it. Ask experts you know about it. The 5-year compound effect of this practice creates surprising knowledge depth. Warren Buffett's decades of reading created a mental model so sophisticated that he can analyze a company in minutes where novices need weeks. You're building the same capability, week by week, topic by topic. Second, build your curiosity network deliberately. Don't default to networking with people in your field. Deliberately connect with people who see the world differently. Join masterminds or executive groups where quality over quantity relationships form. Ask these people genuine questions about their world. Offer value back. These relationships become your competitive advantage because your network knows things that aren't in public domain information, things you can't find on Google, insights that exist only in experienced minds. Third, practice strategic questioning daily. When you encounter a statement or assumption in business, in news, in technology, in markets, ask why. Then ask why again. Train yourself to think in first principles rather than analogies. This mental muscle, developed through daily practice, changes how you evaluate opportunities. It separates you from people who accept surface-level explanations. Fourth, map opportunities systematically. When something piques your curiosity, map it using the framework I gave you earlier. What's changing? Who benefits? What's the opportunity? This prevents curiosity from becoming mere trivia. It channels curiosity into actionable advantage, into positions you can take, into skills you can develop, into wealth you can build. Fifth, diversify your curiosity. Wealth-creating ideas often come from connecting domains that seem unrelated. Steve Jobs' curiosity about design and technology created the modern smartphone. Elon Musk's curiosity about physics, engineering, and business strategy created revolutionary companies across multiple industries. Don't limit curiosity to your industry. The biggest breakthroughs come from unexpected combinations, from seeing patterns across disciplines that specialists miss because they only look in one direction. Now, let me tell you about the competitive reality. The reality nobody wants to hear but everyone needs to understand. In an information-rich world, the edge isn't information access. Everyone has information. You can Google anything. You can watch YouTube videos. You can take online courses. Information is abundant. It's practically free, so what separates those who convert information into wealth from those who don't? It's the quality of questions you ask. It's the depth of thinking you apply. It's the connections you make that others miss. Curiosity, systematically applied, is how the rich maintain their advantage. It's how they spot trends before they're obvious. It's how they build networks that create opportunities unavailable to the general public. It's how they develop the specific knowledge that compounds into extraordinary wealth. Let me share something that might make you uncomfortable. The gap between the curious and the incurious is widening faster than ever before. Technology accelerates everything. Those who ask better questions are pulling further ahead, while those who passively consume information are falling further behind. This isn't a trend that's going to reverse. It's going to accelerate. The wealthy understand something fundamental. Curiosity isn't just about learning for learning's sake. It's about building an operating system for your mind that processes reality differently than everyone else. When you encounter information, most people ask, "Can I use this right now?" The wealthy ask, "What does this connect to? What does this imply? What changes if this is true?" These questions create leverage that accumulates over time. Think about Warren Buffett reading 500 pages a day. He's not memorizing facts. He's building a knowledge graph in his mind where everything connects to everything else. When he evaluates a new investment, he's not starting from zero. He's connecting it to thousands of data points accumulated over decades. That's not intelligence. That's systematic curiosity compounded over time. Think about Elon Musk learning rocket science, neuroscience, and tunneling technology as an adult. He's not just acquiring skills. He's asking questions across domains that create unique insights. When he applies physics principles to business problems, he sees solutions that business-trained people miss. When he applies business thinking to technical problems, he sees opportunities that engineers miss. That's the power of diversified curiosity. Think about Bill Gates spending weeks reading books on topics that have nothing to do with his current projects. He's not wasting time. He's cross-pollinating ideas. He's building mental models that apply across contexts. When he shifted from business to philanthropy, those models transferred. When he advises on artificial intelligence policy, he draws on knowledge accumulated over decades of curious exploration. The choice in front of you is binary. You can accept the world as it is, take what you're given, and hope things work out. Or you can ask better questions and build the world you envision. The wealthy have made their choice. They chose curiosity. They chose systematic questioning. They chose to challenge assumptions that everyone else accepts without thinking. Now it's your turn to choose. Here's what I want you to do immediately. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Pick one topic you know nothing about, but that might be relevant to where the world is heading. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, decentralized finance, climate technology, quantum computing. Pick one. Spend 30 minutes researching it, not passively scrolling. Active research, read articles, watch expert interviews, take notes. Ask yourself the three mapping questions. What's changing? Who benefits? Where's the opportunity? That's day one. Tomorrow, spend another 30 minutes, go deeper. By the end of the week, you'll know more about this topic than 95% of people. By the end of the month, you'll start seeing connections others miss. By the end of the year, you'll have built specific knowledge in 12 different domains. Knowledge that positions you ahead of trends. Knowledge that creates opportunities. knowledge that becomes capital. And here's the multiplier effect. Start building your curiosity network simultaneously. Identify one person this week who knows something you don't. Reach out, ask them thoughtful questions. Offer something valuable in return, your time, your skills, your network. Build a real relationship, not a transactional contact exchange. Do this weekly. By the end of the year, you'll have 52 relationships with people who see the world differently than you do. That network becomes your information advantage, your opportunity pipeline, your competitive edge. The wealthy don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait until they feel ready. They start. They ask questions. They stay curious. They build advantages systematically while everyone else is waiting for luck to strike. This is Premium Wealth Insights. This is where we break down the psychological frameworks that separate the wealthy from everyone else. If this resonated with you, if you're serious about moving to the next level, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that button. Because next week I'm diving into something even more powerful, the decision architecture the ultra-wealthy use to make billion-dollar choices while everyone else is paralyzed by analysis. You don't want to miss that. Remember, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. You can be part of building something special here, a community that thinks differently about wealth, that understands the psychology behind extraordinary success, that applies these frameworks instead of just consuming content passively. And don't forget to like this video. Help us get to 50 likes. It takes 2 seconds and it tells me you're getting value from this content. More importantly, it helps YouTube show this to more people who need to hear it. Let me leave you with one final thought. The curiosity edge isn't complicated. It's not reserved for geniuses. It's not dependent on privilege or connections or lucky breaks. It's a daily practice, a systematic approach, a refusal to accept the world as it is, and a commitment to asking better questions than everyone else is asking. You have the same 24 hours as Warren Buffett, the same access to information as Bill Gates, the same ability to ask questions as Elon Musk. What you don't have is time to waste. Because while you're deciding whether to take this seriously, someone else is already building their curiosity edge. They're already asking better questions. They're already positioning themselves ahead of trends you haven't even noticed yet. The wealth gap isn't closing, it's widening. And curiosity is the wedge that drives it wider. The question is which side of that gap you're going to be on. The curious or the complacent, the questioner or the passive observer, the one who builds wealth or the one who wonders why everyone else seems to get lucky. Make your choice. Start today. Ask better questions. Build your curiosity edge, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. This is William Vanderbilt. Stay curious, stay hungry, and remember, the wealthy don't wait for opportunities. They create them by asking questions nobody else thought to ask.